Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
In the squadron, they called him Bullets, but we call him Greg Kelly. Greg Kelly is on the air
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Anyway, that's the world for you. Broken and fallen. We do what we can, what we must, to fight it. We hopefully live we live a Christ-inspired life, right? And then again, you got to let God take care of the rest. He has this figured out. The world is broken and fallen and all fouled up. And that's the way it is. However, he steps in just in the nick of time and can make everything amazing, right? So I don't really like the tariff issue. I don't go to bed or think about tariffs all that much, and tariffs and trade. And it was a huge debate over it right when President Trump got in there. However, the damn Supreme Court, no island of sanity whatsoever, just stuck it to Trump big time. You know, the tariffs he imposed, well, they just said that they're illegal. A 6-3 decision. And guess who was leading the charge against Trump? Yep, John Roberts. You know, John Roberts and Elena Kagan and Sotomayor, Ketanji Brown Jackson, Neil Gorsuch, and Amy Coney Barrett. This man put you on the court. You know, this was... I know they're supposed to rule on the merits and stuff like that, but often they don't, especially Roberts, especially John Roberts. What a load that guy is. Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, Brett Kavanaugh. All right, what is the heart of the matter? This stuff gets a little bit in the weeds. From Samuel Chamberlain, I like him. The Supreme Court ruled Friday that President Trump cannot use emergency powers to impose sweeping tariffs on foreign imports, leaving the White House facing the prospect of paying back tens of billions of dollars to traders. In a 6-3 vote, the justices found that the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, which Trump used to apply broad across-the-board levies, including a 10% baseline rate and additional tariffs on America's three biggest trading partners over the shipping of fentanyl to the U.S., does not authorize the imposition of duties. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to grab the opinion. I'm going to grab the opinion as written by the majority, John Roberts. And I notice when he writes about things, it's like a foreign language. Oh, they make it complicated on purpose so that the people can't figure it out. Oh, I guess you got to be an expert. I guess you got to be a judge or something. I guess you got to be a lawyer. I guess you got to be. No, that's not what our founding fathers had in mind. If you read the truly conservative justices and their rulings, whether they're in the majority or the dissent, it's plain English. You listen to the hearings, by the way, they get totally off the wall. And that's on purpose. That is on purpose to fool and deceive, and also kind of an ego trip to make them think that they have this, rare talent. Chief Justice Roberts wrote the majority opinion, joined by Amy Coney Barrett and Neil Gorsuch. Yeah, Amy Coney Barrett, what is up her? You know what? What is up with her? What am I talking about? Did anybody see that nasty look that she gave President Trump last year? I mean, she glared at him. She hates him. I don't know what the hell happened. Or maybe she just listens to the fake news. I can see that. People who, take in and digest the fake news. Because, well, why would you disagree with that? I mean, after all, it's network news. It's Walter Cronkite. It's Peter Jennings. It's Frank Reynolds. It's John Chancellor. No, those guys are long gone and dead. And, oh, by the way, they weren't all that hot when they were around. Especially Walter Cronkite, the sailing buddy of JFK. Those guys used to go frolicking around Hyannisport together. The 6-3 vote? Goodness gracious. Ketanji Brown Jackson, Elena Kagan, Sonia Sotomayor. In his opinion, Roberts noted that the lengthy list of powers articulated by the EEPA does not include any mention of tariffs or duties. The omission is notable in light of the significant but specific powers Congress did go to the trouble of naming, the Chief Justice went on. It stands to reason that had Congress intended to convey the distinct and extraordinary power to impose tariffs, it would have done so expressly, as it consistently has in other tariff statutes. Accordingly, the president must point to clear congressional authorization to justify his extraordinary assertion of the power to impose tariffs. He cannot. The White House has pledged to use other avenues to impose the tariffs, including Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act of 1962, blah, 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 blah. Hey, you know what else we could think about doing? I mean, President Biden did it. Blow off the court. Just blow them off. Hey, you guys remember AOC? Got my AOC stuff? AOC said out loud that we should blow off the court. I guess it was cute. It was cute when she recommended it, right? But it wasn't just her. It was the Biden administration blowing off the court. Remember when they said they could not just give away federal money, i.e. forgive loans? The court said you can't do that. They did it anyway. Cut 16, if you don't mind. AOC in 2023 during the Biden administration. Cut 16.
There has been thought, I believe, given to this. Senator Ron Wyden has already issued statements, for example, advising what we should do in a situation like this, which I concur, which is that I believe that the Biden administration should ignore this ruling. I think that the courts have the legitimacy and they rely on the legitimacy of their rulings. And what they are currently doing is engaged in an unprecedented and dramatic erosion of the legitimacy of the courts. It is the justices themselves, through the deeply partisan and unfounded nature of these rulings, that are undermining their own enforcement.
So you're saying the Biden administration should ignore this court, but what does that look like? What does that actually mean? You
know, I think the interesting thing when it comes to a ruling is that it relies on enforcement. And it is up to the Biden administration to choose whether or not to enforce such a ruling.
Yeah, you can break the law. Is that what I heard? Law enforcement, right? They pass something. They decree what the law actually says. And then the Biden administration can blow off enforcing it. Maybe the Trump administration can do that as well. I don't actually advocate that. But there are other workarounds. Among the levies affected by the ruling are the 10% baseline tariffs and all U.S. trading partners that Trump announced on Liberation Day in April 2025. Also affected are duties of 10%, 25%, and 35% on goods from China, Mexico, and Canada, respectively, imposed in a bid to persuade those countries to crack down on fentanyl trafficking. What's wrong? What's wrong, Chief Justice Roberts? I wonder if he has kids. I wonder what? Is there a drug? Are they upset about not getting enough? No, I don't know if they're doing drugs or not. They're people like everybody else. Although there are individuals who have some interesting theories about John Roberts. I don't share them, but they are interesting. All right. What does this really mean? What's going to happen next? I think I'm going to get my friend Joe DeGeneva on the phone, right? Former U.S. attorney, fully aware of the corruption of the deep state and the swamp, and even at times the Supreme Court. Be right back.
Greg Kelly.
Let's go, Brandon.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Greg Kelly.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Any closer to war with Iran? You better believe it. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Not going to be total war, but it's going to be pretty intense. And it's a long time coming. Trust me. Cut one, if you don't mind. Cut one.
The Iranian government is defying the world with its nuclear ambitions, and the nations of the world must not permit the Iranian regime to gain nuclear weapons.
As long as I'm president of the United States, Iran will not get a nuclear weapon.
We will not allow Iran to acquire a nuclear weapon.
Well, they basically have one, and they've had one for a long time. They're this close. Sometimes this is what they do. They have like half the nuclear weapon on one side of the table and the other half on the other side of the table. And they can say, well, we don't have nuclear weapons. But when they put them together, those two pieces, they have a nuclear weapon. Other countries have played games with this before. You can like plausibly deny having a weapon when you do have a weapon, right? Just got to put it, my M16, I have no gun. I have it's in 4 pieces. I don't have a gun. I just have metal parts of stuff. Once you put it together, you have a gun. Once you put that thing together, you have a nuclear weapon. 20 years ago, actually 30 years ago, there was a big headline in the New York Times. Iran, 5 years away from obtaining a nuclear weapon. Fast forward to 2014, big headline in the New York Times. Iran said to be 2 to 3 months from a nuclear weapon. Fast forward to 2024, there were reports that Iran was days or weeks away from acquiring a nuclear weapon. I think at this point, it's pretty safe to say they probably have one. Now, we set it back with that midnight hammer strike over the summer, but we can't take any more chances. Maybe they can negotiate. Maybe they can figure a way out of this, but deceit is the way of the Iranian regime. They don't really see things logically because they're not making sound decisions based on geopolitics, as Marco Rubio pointed out. These are radical religious fanatics, and they're making like religious decisions, and they see things as a global struggle for, jihad, essentially. Now, the Iranian people, a lot of them are not down with all this stuff. Obviously, we know that's why they're rising up. So my hunch is that President Trump has already made up his mind, and we're going to do it. We have more aircraft and military forces in the Middle East than at any time since 2003 when we went into Iraq. And I was there for that one. Whew. Now, unlike Iraq, we know that there's a nuclear program. This is not a fake out. This is an ongoing thing. This is not like what they pulled out of their you-know-what in 2001, 2002, 2003 to say that Iraq had nuclear. They didn't. And a lot of folks saw right through that. Also, Iraq was not exporting terrorism like Iran has done for 50 years almost. They exported all over the place. We've tied it. The October 7th, Hamas, they could not have pulled that out without money from Iran, without support, material, all that stuff. Iran, these are bad, bad people. And they want to kill Jews and they want to eradicate Israel. That's key to them. He's got to kill Pop. That's key to him. Remember? Sollozzo, it was key. He had to kill the Don. Well, for this regime in Iran, they have to stop Israel. And they think there will be a major world realignment in their favor. It's part of why there's all this kind of nasty anti-Semitism breeding in America. I think they want to kind of neutralize what would be or should be like the overwhelming, like, oh my God, this is never, what would America do if they struck Israel with a nuclear bomb? I think not too long ago, well, under Trump, I know what would happen. But under Biden, the next president, who knows? Who knows? Because these seeds of anti-Semitism are nasty and they're all over the place. Trump made it clear once again. Cut 2, if you don't mind.
Remember, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. We don't have to go too deep into it. They just can't have a nuclear weapon.
Now, if we do go to war, you got to remember that all the stuff that Iran has is not that impressive. It's old, tiny military hardware, and it's all broken down and it stinks. For instance, their Air Force, they got F-14 Tomcats. You've seen F-14 Tomcats. They were in the Top Gun movie, the first Top Gun movie. Very cool planes, but ancient. We haven't flown those things in 20 years in America. 20 years ago, they were retired because they're obsolete. But that's what Iran has, a bunch of these things, and they're always in the garage. Listen to this smart aleck. His name is Mark Felton. He did a whole documentary on Iranian military stuff. Cut 3.
Iran is the last country still flying a plane made famous in the Tom Cruise movie Top Gun, the Grumman F-14 Tomcat. How and why Iran, of all places, should still be using this venerable fighter is an interesting story. And if you take a look at the equipment lineup of the current Iranian forces, some other old vehicles are still being kept in service today, including fairly ancient British tanks, when they have long since been retired by other armed forces. The F-14 is a carrier-capable, supersonic, twin-engine, two-seat, twin-tail, all-weather capable, variable sweep-wing fighter.
And that sounds pretty kick-ass, right? But it's always broken down. The damn thing never works over there. I got some pictures. I put them in a video that these things are disassembled in a garage. They're incredibly maintenance intensive. There is a ban on spare parts, right? And they don't even make the spare parts anymore. So it's a miracle that these things even fly. They're not fully mission capable, as we say. And they're so old that in the new Tomcat movie, the new Top Gun movie that came out a couple of years ago, Top Gun Part 2, Maverick. They were making fun of these planes, how old they were. Now, you can hear a lot of music here, but you hear Goose and Tom. What's that guy's name? The new actor that everybody likes. Not Glenn Powell, the other one. Listen to this, if you would. Cut 4. They're got a pair of binoculars, and they're looking at a burning Iranian airfield. Cut 4.
You're not serious.
Getting a closer look. Camera's moving in on the hangar.
You've got to be shitting me. An F-14?
I shot down 3 MiGs of one of those.
We don't even know if that bag of ass can fly.
We don't even know if that bag of ass can fly. So they're shot down. They both got shot down in Iran, and they got to get the hell out of there somehow. And they sneak up on the military base, the Iranian military base, and what do they have? Old-timey F-14s. And how do you get that? They're going to fly those damn things out. Miles Teller is the guy's name. Miles Teller. Very good actor, actually. What happened next? They actually get in the plane. You'll hear... The visuals are really cool. They sneak across the airfield, and then they find the old-timey jalopy of an F-14 that, only in the movies, is fully fueled and has all the missiles and bullets you would need. They never kind of just keep F-14s in that kind of state like that. And they jump in. Listen to what he says when he gets in the cockpit, though. Cut 5, if you don't mind, please. Cut 5. Jumping in the plane.
Oh my God. This thing is so old.
Oh my God, the thing is so old. Did you hear what he said? Because the cockpit is all like 1970s technology. And then the F-14, they kind of drive it out of the taxi out of the hangar. It's a very cool movie, actually. Excuse me, but not as cool as the first one. You know why? Because the first one used real Navy airplanes. What happened was they rented airplanes from the United States Navy, and they took pictures of those airplanes in flight. And it was realistic. It wasn't a cartoon. It wasn't CGI. It wasn't computer. Now, they did some of that for the new Top Gun movie, but a lot of it was fakery. Even that, especially that scene right there. It wasn't a real F-14. It was some sort of claymation or cartoon. When I look at movies now, they all look like cartoonish. You know what best movies are from? The 1970s. I mean, they look like documentaries in a cool way compared to the fantasy movies of today. They're gritty. They're real. What you're looking at actually exists in the physical world. They're not overlit. They're just beautiful. And it captures reality. The characters, think about some of the leading men from the 1970s. Gene Hackman, who recently died, right? Gene Hackman wasn't like this pretty boy. No, he was like a regular, he looked like us. Dustin Hoffman, for that matter, wasn't exactly, Romeo. He looked like a real person. Who else from that era? Al Pacino, another one. I don't know what happened, but, I call it the feminization of America. Brad Pitt kind of exemplifies that, right? I mean, the guy kind of looks like a woman, right? You ever look through, nobody does anymore, including me, but if you do, the New York Times Magazine, I can't remember why I did this, but I had to do something, and I compared the New York Times Magazine of today, with the New York Times Magazine of 1980. And one of the most jarring differences is the men and women in the fashion pages, right? The models. They was always doing fashion, advertising, or stories about fashion. And in 1980, the women looked like women and the men looked like men. They were very masculine, There was no doubt about their sexuality. Now, this whole androgynous thing, right? That was going on 10 years ago. The feminization. The men are like women and the women are like men. But maybe there's going to be a correction. There better be, or else we are going to lose the planet, literally. People are not having children like they used to. And they're putting it off or not doing it at all. And if that happens more broadly, which it is, we're not going to be able to sustain all this stuff. And life expectancy is going down. When the hell has that ever happened before? It happens in dying societies. Thank God for Maha. That's a real thing. And it's gonna, I think, yield some amazing results. All right. 1 second, please. Be right back.
Greg Kelly
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Do you want to sit? Come here for a second. Have a seat. 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222. James Flippin is here. Who the hell knew the USA hockey team, women's hockey team, which I didn't even know we had. Mm-hmm. I've never heard about women's hockey. And now they just won the gold medal. I don't think I've ever seen a woman hockey player until this moment. I'm looking at them right now on TV. Actually, the first time I ever heard about it was the other day when I found out that one hockey player, female, either broke up with or hooked up with another female hockey player on like a rival team or something like that.
Oh, wow.
I heard about the lesbian drama.
Uh-huh.
But this is, did you know about girl hockey?
Yes, I did. When I was in high school, we had a women's, girls hockey team. We would go to the games sometimes.
No. You had field hockey. That's different from regular hockey.
And ice hockey.
Whoa, where'd you go to some boarding school? You guys had your own ice rink?
Oh, wait, okay. Actually, now it's coming back to me. 3 girls played on the boys' hockey team in high school.
Oh, my God. Did they have to go to the Supreme Court to get permission or something like that?
No, I think it was kind of just one of those, is it Title IX? You had to let them do it. Just like we had a girl who tried to come out for football because she wanted to be a kicker, and they had to let her try out at least because of the whole equal opportunity stuff. And
they should have figured out that you went to a woke school when you were a kid.
Oh,
that sounds very woke.
Nowadays, it's even worse. Some of the just general standard practices for New Jersey public schools is absolutely brutal.
Unfortunately, some of that woke rubbed off on you. Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
No, I don't think that's true. I mean, maybe in some ways, but probably not in the ways you're thinking of right now. But no, we also had 2 boys who briefly played on the field hockey team. And that for them, it was like a joke. It was kind of like a response to the fact that the girl played football.
I remember the field hockey. They had to wear skirts. They wore skirts.
Correct.
Did the boys wear the skirts?
I think they did. Yeah.
Well, that's gross. Now that's gross. They were doing, do you know, it's interesting.
What if it was a Scottish tartan or whatever? That's, or kilt.
I never understood those. But I do remember two guys went to the prom in Tennessee, and they dressed as girls. This is about 4 years ago. And in the heart of the Biden administration, to all the transgender boys and girls, oh, you're so amazing, and I have your back. Remember that nonsense? Mm-hmm. And a guy is out to dinner with his family. It's like at a hotel. It's a nice, it's a restaurant at a hotel, and these two guys are taking pictures of themselves in dresses. And the guy stood up and said, "You guys are ridiculous. You look stupid." And it was just amazing to me that that man, the CEO of a fairly, big company, lost his job. The board put out a statement, his values are not in line with the company's. I mean, if you can't get up and make fun of somebody wearing a dress who's a guy, mm-hmm. Well, I guess we have snapped back and we've recovered. But you can make fun of people for doing that. We still have community standards, or we should.
Well, what about just the concept of being nice and polite and not making fun of people?
Nice and polite, and that's the law. Freedom of speech, you don't have to be nice. You're going to say things and do things that not everybody's going to like.
That's true, but the corporation doesn't follow just freedom of speech laws. They've got their own standards and ethos and whatever.
No, not standards and ethos. What that was, fear of the mob. Fear of a social media mob talking about Paxo, Lexo, global, whatever, pharmaceutical company. Yeah. And, oh my God, they're talking about us on social media. What does the mob want? Give it to them. Put out a statement. Oh my God, they're talking about us.
I tend to agree with you. I think a lot of what you're saying is true. But I also feel that...
This is a thing. Right there. What? Right there, you and your mouth. But I think a lot of what you're saying is true. But you're always like, it's not passive aggressive. It's something else. It's something else.
I just feel as though I can be honest with you and give my true opinion.
Well...
I've stumped you.
Something's up. Something is up.
No, I just think that
something is up.
I think it would be very progressive as a society if we said, if men want to wear dresses or if they want to play with Barbies, that's their choice. But don't get the surgery. Don't take the hormones. Don't do that. To me would be truly progressive. That's why I just say,
look, you want to play with Barbies. You want to wear dresses. If you're 17 years old and you go out in public that way, and I'm with my wife and children, and I feel like, you know what?
But why? It's not hurting you.
I could say something about it. I'm not allowed to say something. Hey, where the hell are the community? These days it's like, oh my God, if you're young, somehow you have the power. You have. What about my experience? What about my judgment? What about smacking around people when they step out of line?
Yeah, but I mean,
smacking around people when they step out of line.
But if it was someone when you were a teenager, it might have been somebody wearing a mohawk or having metal studs on their leather jacket.
And I would expect it. I would expect it. And quite frankly, I think I got a little bit of that. I remember a guy, I can't remember what, but I do remember what he said to me. I do remember vividly what he said to me.
Did it make an impact?
A little bit. He didn't like what I was doing. It wasn't bad. I think it wasn't that bad.
Were you being a jerk?
Let me get to the real thing here, all right, with you? The needling. He's just sorry. He said something to me, and I said something back. And then he took his cane. He had a cane. And he said, "You want to pick a fight with an old man with cancer?" Right? And I really felt ashamed, to be honest. I didn't, but hey, you're going to say something. Anyway, I give him credit, quite frankly, for trying to straighten me out about whatever the hell it was I was doing, which it wasn't bad. You know what I mean? It was like, I don't know. I don't know what it was. I wish I remember, but all I remember was his comment. I also remember one other weird fact. I know. Now I know the story. It's really not out. I'm walking, it's in the city. I'm walking Park Avenue somewhere. I'm in college, and I saw Ivanka Trump with a very attractive, her beau, if you will, right? Ivana Trump, Trump's first wife. And I was looking at them, and somebody said, "Oh, look, there they go." And I bumped into this guy or something like that. I walked in front of him, and he said something really kind of nasty, And it was like, watch where you're, more than watch where you're going. You know what I mean? You stupid idiot, something like that. And it's like, whoa, easy there, Pops. And he said, "You want to pick a fight with an old man?" You know what I mean? And I gave him kind of, wow, you know what I mean? And I think about him sometimes. Like, he's dead. He died probably 6 months later. Speaking of which, did you hear about Ben Sass?
Oh, no. What's the latest?
You know who that is?
Yeah, I know he's not doing well.
Who is he?
Was Senator of Nebraska?
Very good. Ex-senator of Nebraska.
Okay.
Became the University of Florida president. He was also president of a small college. He's going to die basically any day.
Yeah.
And he's going around doing podcasts. And he's saying some very interesting things, powerful things. Things that I think you could learn a two or thing from, okay?
I'll listen to him.
Would
yeah.
you? It's an hour long. Can you do it? Can you do it without being a smart ass? I got to go.
Thanks for listening to The Greg Kelly Show. You can hear The Greg Kelly Show weekdays at 12:15 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Rural Americans deserve access to the best our nation has to offer, especially when it comes to health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families' health. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.